Watch the ride.
Hey everybody, hope you're all doing alright out there. So over the past few years I've been trying to give people advanced warnings on the problems with AI as it's coming along, and as time goes on I'm getting proven more and more right, because a lot of people in the early days said, oh yeah, you know, AI is not even real artificial intelligence, it's not going to make any great difference, blah 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 blah. It's changed the world now in a few years, insane. And I made a video not that long ago called AI is past the point of no return. In other words, it's now so good it is hard for people to tell the difference. A trained person, someone who's been doing video work, someone who's been doing, you know, photography work for a long time, it becomes easier for someone like me to notice it than an everyday person, and that was the major concern with that. Well, we're past that now. VO3, Jesus. We're done. There is literally no way, in some instances, of telling the difference between AI video and real video. You just can't. And if you think, oh, I've spotted every bit of AI video I've ever seen, no you haven't. No you haven't. You just didn't know it. And my major concern at this point, and I'm really glad that one of the first things that was made with VO3 that went sort of viral, was a sort of an awareness campaign that was for older generations and, you know, grands and things like that, to be like, no, I'm AI, this isn't really happening, this political thing that you're seeing on television isn't really happening. There is a possibility with this technology to completely gaslight an entire civilization to thinking something is happening or isn't happening, or just the manipulative ways it's going to get used, not could be, will get used, is insane. But at this point in time, the thing I'm actually most concerned about is your granddad, your older relatives who aren't necessarily that keyed up. You know, we've just about got them to understand, well I know I have with my old mum, that people calling up who you don't know who they are and start asking random questions or trying to, you know, talk to you about something you don't even have, just put the phone down on them. Scammers. She gets loads of them, she understands it now, and thankfully, you know, daytime TV also makes them more aware of these things. But when it comes to AI, you would be amazed how poor it can be for someone to fall for it. Let alone now, where even someone who works in video and photography can look at something and go, if I wasn't told that was AI, I couldn't be sure if it was real or not. You know, to the more naive, god damn, it can be dangerous. You may not be aware of this, but around the world and in this country, there is a thing where people will basically try and manipulate people into sending them images of a certain nature of themselves, and they think they're maybe getting into a relationship, or maybe they're having, you know, it's a genuine thing. But then as it turns out, they're a scammer, and they're like, right, now we've got these images of you, unless you go and give us this much money, we're going to do X, Y, Z, we're going to tell X, Y, Z. And this is rife. It is absolutely rife. You know, this is like catfishing, but with an end goal of scamming. Now, keeping in mind that a lot of people got caught by this by something as simple as a profile picture of a woman and a couple of messages through Instagram or even dating things I've heard about. You know, people will fall for things they really want to happen. If you want it to be true, oh my god, you'll find every way to do. You know, you got some large, slovenly guy, shall we say, and he suddenly gets a message from a 22-year-old blonde who's all about him and so interested. He should know better than that's not freaking true. Now, I'm not saying that couldn't ever happen. I'm not saying that, you know, looks is the be all and end all or anything over that. I'm just saying, come on, you know what I'm saying here. You can be a bit hopeful and it will put yourself into a very dangerous position. One of the things that VO3 has got down, or should we say the AIs in general are starting to get down, is AI voice that sounds realistic, matching that to mouth movements in video that doesn't look weird. And they're also smart enough to know that AI can do faces no problem. It's not good at hands yet. It's not good at the normal gestures we do. So they just cut that out. They just do an above neck shot. And all of a sudden, you don't have to worry about any of that stuff. There's also the scams of, say, they will get a picture of someone's daughter and then say that they have their daughter, they're kidnapped and they have to pay this much money to get them back. and then people will call up their daughter to see if they get hold of them, or they'll just walk through the door and they're like, but you've been kidnapped. They're like, no I haven't, what are you talking about? Oh shit, I just sent him 50 grand, I thought you were going to be killed. That sort of stuff happens. With the ability to fake videos now, yeah, it's getting worse. My major concern in the short term is just how much scamming there's going to be. What my personal concern should be is the fact that at the moment, one of the most viewed videos on YouTube is an AI generated video. There are many channels out there now which are completely AI generated. Like, there are sleep story channels which you can tell are literally making an AI generated story that's then AI generated voice, and they just play it. And most of the time, you know, you wouldn't necessarily know the difference. There's actually one I have in mind that says that it isn't AI driven, but I really don't think it is human, because there's a couple of like speech mess ups in it that aren't human speech mess ups, so I'm very suspicious this whole thing is AI. They also predict that in a few years time 90% of the videos that will be watched will be AI generated, and you might be like, I'm not going to watch AI slop, I'm only interested in the humans. The humans aren't going to be there anymore because they won't afford to be able to do it anymore. Already I am like right up against it, being able to afford to run this channel anymore. Well, I'm not up against it actually, I'm losing money every month, but I'm hoping that the quiet spell of the winter might slightly improve. If it doesn't, you can't keep losing money. Now, I'm not suggesting that is entirely related to AI, but it's one of the things that contributes to it. The competition out there is so high, because this is the thing you have to remember with YouTube. It is not the content that matters. It is the thumbnail and the title. Because you can have videos which just keep getting shoved in your face time and time again. And they're covered in dislikes and they're a terrible video. And they'll just keep shoving it in your face because people were clicking on it. The actual point I have to this video is about basically vulnerable people getting scammed. And I don't want to see it happening. So I have put below the link to that video that is good for warning older generations and people who aren't aware of how good AI has become, to warn them about the dangers of it and realise how good it's got. And I implore you, if you have older generations, you know, grandparents and stuff, you feel like, or even your parents who you feel like might be a bit susceptible to this, if they're tech savvy, send them a video link. If they're not, maybe show it to them. And make sure they understand that none of this is real. None. Not the people, not the voice, not the where they are. Nothing is real. Nothing. If this video helps one person not get scammed by them, then it was worth doing. You know, I'm not going to change the onslaught that AI is, but you can try and alert people, as I've been trying to do for a long time. And as I said back then, it isn't going anywhere. It's not going to go anywhere. It's just going to progress. And as much as people say we should probably stop developing this, they're not going to. They never were, they never will, and I always said that. So you've got to be prepared for it. As I said, progression is like a steamroller. You either get on board, get out of the way, or get flattened. Huge thanks to my Patreon supporters and YouTube members. Till the next one. Bye-bye.